We are designing cities where workers are no longer welcome. How can that even happen? But that's what's happening now. We're going to be talking about that article today. Let's get right into it, you guys. So, if we jump into this article today, you guys, this is where workers are no longer welcome. Unbelievable to me because prices are going out of control. Now, what is this stuff? What are we going to do about it? Look at this 61% of Vancouver residents are considering leaving due to housing affordability. Prices are going bananas. Okay, so if the prices go up, David, we've been hearing about this a long time, but there's always going to be a breaking point. This is funny because Vancouver is one of the most expensive places. I want you to go check out this article on dailyhive.com. You can check that out, and it says over half, 52% of the residents across the region have considered moving away because of these concerns. Only 46% before in 2018. So I guess those 46% never left, right? But now the point is the percentage is creeping higher and higher and higher for the number of people who want to get the heck out. Okay, so let's keep on going. Those who are most likely to leave Vancouver, those most likely to leave are between the ages of 18 to 34. So what does that mean? Not the millennials. I mean, not the baby boomers that are out there. The baby boomers were able to buy their homes really cheap, and then they were able to have massive price appreciation. So we just were interviewing a nurse. She bought the home in 1999. A nurse bought it, okay? She didn't have a fantastic wage, and she was working part-time, has 3 kids, okay? Part-time. So she now wants to sell her house. Just remember, part-time nurse bought a house in Toronto, 1999. Now she wants to sell the house. When we went and did the math for who we are looking to buy the home now is up to 1.3 million. Okay, so then we went through a mortgage broker and tried to figure it out. You had to be making today $1 million per year to qualify for this home. Excuse me? So this is what we're meaning is back in 1999, a nurse could buy a home on a part-time salary. Today, you have to be like CEO of Coca-Cola and make $1 million a year to qualify for this tiny little home. Absolutely crazy. And this is the problem, right? So everybody, it says here in the article, 71% want to move, and they're between the ages of 18 and 34. All the young people got to go because they can't afford it. That's the point, right? If you bought many years ago, you would be okay. All right, so let's go look at the arrest here. It says the vast majority also agreed that it is important to ensure essential workers can afford to live in the community near where they work. Of course, all the residents and politicians agree, right? I think that this is so important that you actually have to read this a second time. You really need to let that like sink in for a second. It says that essential workers, the vast majority agreed that it is important to ensure essential workers that they can live in the community. And this is where I am absolutely blown away because this is the same in Vancouver. It is the same in New York. It's the same in Toronto, where we live in Toronto. People cannot afford to live here. So what does that mean for essential workers? Garbage collectors, firemen, police people. It doesn't matter. The list goes on. Nurses. Who else is essential? You guys can think of 1,000 things, I'm sure. But all of these people, none of them make $100,000. So all of these people cannot live within 2 hours of the city that they're servicing. So you think that your garbage guy is going to commute for 3 hours all the way into a city, work an 8-hour shift and drive 3 hours back home? That's not going to happen, right? So this is where we have to be really, really careful. We need essential workers. How is it that one of the smallest homes in the city would now take $1 million salary per year for you to afford? That is not sustainable. In addition, how can it be that in a lot of the good areas, a 1-bedroom condo is $1 million? People cannot afford that. And so definitely no regular workers. So everybody has to be a CEO. So now we're going to be a city where everybody has to be an owner of a company with no workers. You guys figure that out, right? That can't work. You got to have like one big boss and then maybe like 100 managers and 10,000 workers or something. I don't know. Everyone can't be a boss. Everyone can't make that level of money. If everybody in the city has to make that much money, there's no way that we could ever have a restaurant here or nothing. So everything that makes a city is the culture. That culture is usually the restaurants, the games, the theater, the sporting events, the parks and stuff. But if no one can run all of those because we are going to be a city that no worker could ever live in, this does not make sense. Because we can't just have crypto millionaires living in one spot. Someone still has to do a lot of that work. This is a big dangerous part for Canada, you guys. All right, so let's look at the rest here. 64% of Canadians are willing to relocate if it means that they can afford a home, but it has to be less than 100 kilometers away. So they're willing to move a little bit, but not really that much, right? All right, so now let's look at the next article. You can go look this up on ottawalife.com. ottawalife.com. Stopping a real estate crash requires immediate action from the Canadian government. So they're saying there could be a real estate crash happening not too long. Now, look at this. 78% of Canadians currently have a mortgage interest rate below 3%. Maybe you should take a pause right there and think of that. 78% have a mortgage rate of less than 3%. If they see the new mortgage rates are 7 and they have to qualify with a stress test over that, do you think there's any chance that they will sell their home and downsize? We have the largest generation the world has ever seen, which is baby boomers, and they have more homes than any generation ever has. So maybe they've had 3 kids move out and they have a 4-bedroom house that's sitting there, and they're like, we would really like to downsize to half the size, or maybe even go into a very small condo. But now, because of the interest rates, they're not going to give up this big home. So imagine they may have $1.5 million home with 4 bedrooms detached, but their interest rate might be 2%. It says here 78% are less than 3. So they may have this huge home and they want to downsize. And when they go to the mortgage broker, they're going to get this tiny little condo that's 1/10 the size, and the mortgage payment will be the exact same. They're not going to move. So all of the action that you normally would see where there was a very large category of people who are downsizing and empty nesters and people who are relocating back to their homeland. This happened a lot. That's all gone. They're not going to leave because the asset is no longer the home. The asset is the mortgage, the payment, that locked in rate at a low amount. They're not going to be moving. So you got to think of that. We're not going to see that. What is happening now with the price drop is because new people cannot qualify. Okay, let's continue. Canadians need to make a staggering additional payment of $800 to $1,100 per month for a mortgage of $800,000. Okay, so this may be a little bit old, you guys, but the average in Toronto was $1,100 per month before we just raised the rates 0.75%. Just think that. If you're one guy living alone, or one person, one lady, and you're living in a condo by yourself, where are you going to come up with that money? A whole extra paycheck. So this is going to really, really put a lot of strain on people, a lot. Okay, so that is massive payments. Now, this is the other part. So they're saying, okay, your mortgage payment is up. It's stating here $1,100 per month, but it says households are already grappling with inflation in gas, grocery, hydro bills, property taxes. That's right. Everything is going up. But what is his answer? Look at this. Canada needs to introduce a 40-year mortgage. This is what I was saying, guys. If this gets to a 40-year, man, we're in like doomsday territory, man. This is really bad. It gives an example here. Payments on $100,000 and a mortgage at 5%. So between a 25-year payment and a 40-year payment, it only changes your payment by $100. $100. That's not going to change what we're doing, and then we have to lock people into another 15 years of mortgage. Wowzers. Can you believe that? So per 100,000, you're only going to save $100. When you go to a 40-year mortgage, this is almost like interest-only loans, right? This is what they had in the United States in 2004, 5, 6, moving up to the great financial crisis. If we go to 40-year mortgages, I would not be surprised if they do something like that. How else are they going to bring down the price? Listen, how have we always brought down prices for the last couple thousand years? You make more of it. It's more supply. So in that same article, I believe they were talking about CMHC. Oh, no, they don't have it here. But CMHC, guys, is recommending a minimum of 5.8 million homes by 2030. We got 7 years to build 5.8 million homes. Just to put this into context, we need almost 1 million homes per year. We only make 250,000 per year. We would need to quadruple the number of homes being built, which is near impossible. In addition, if you were here yesterday on our live, we were talking about that one of the largest categories, the second largest, was the number of construction workers all laid off. Nobody is building anymore. Projects are going under. So not only did we have to, we were making 250, we need to make 1 million homes a year. Instead of going up quadruple, we're dropping in half. The problem is going to get a lot worse. And all of these price changes that everybody is noticing, especially the people in the cities that are seeing the pain of 30, 40% drops in home prices, even the rest of Canada is going to be seeing that. Nobody you know probably has lost their job yet. Nobody that you know has their company shut down yet. Nobody has actually felt the pain. They're just seeing it on their paper when they see what their stocks are worth. You're going to see a lot more pain coming when people are no longer qualifying for loans and losing their jobs and losing their companies and all of that other stuff. We haven't even started. This is just the beginning. So this is why I want everybody to be careful, be very careful. So what do? We are going to be in a period for high inflation for a period of time. So the very first place that I would start is start stocking up around your home. My mother calls me all the time and says, can you believe the price of blank? You give me baking powder has went from $6 to $12. Yeah, but the prices you see today are probably the cheapest prices you're going to see for a while, for a long time, probably ever. So everything you buy today is probably on sale. So I like to stock up. I like to buy your stuff because everything you buy today is going to be more expensive tomorrow. So whatever you're buying today, you're saving. So first of all, you should be having some food and then whatever other stuff, soaps, cosmetics, whatever you're going to use around your house, stock up on stuff. That is a great place to start saving some money. In addition to that, then I always say you got to start buying something like a little bit of gold and a little bit of silver. You need a little bit of this in your portfolio. Not a lot, just some of it, right? Food doesn't last forever. So you can't store 5 years of food. But what you can do is have real value somewhere that you can exchange this down the road. Remember, this was only worth $1 100 years ago. And today, this is worth $35. So this continues to keep up with that inflation. That's why you need to have some of that in your portfolio. Of course, if you're a little bit more, risk adverse and you want to diversify a little bit, and you can also think about some kind of stocks that are based on commodities or agriculture, and you can also go up into a little bit like 1% of crypto or something like that. But you got to start doing that financial education. I always say that the very best return on your money and return on your time is education. Financial education is key. And so that's why we're going to be preparing a whole bunch of courses for people so that they can start taking it and get financially literate and break free of this system. What is going to happen will bring pain on a lot of people. And what I don't want to see, but I know I will, is more homeless people, more people starving, more people having to make a choice between food or medicine. And I hate when I see that. I've seen that a lot in my life. And it's terrible. So we want to help people as much as we can. Anyway, if you guys like this stuff, please just share it with one person that you think it could help. Please remember to like, subscribe, follow to this. I really appreciate it. Thanks very much for coming by. And you can check out some of the links below to the companies that I use that I've used for 15 years. And I appreciate it. Thanks very much. Have a good night, guys. Um, oh boy, I got a lot of comments, you guys. Let me see if I can get it. You guys, I'm paying attention to TikTok. I was talking to some of the guys on YouTube. YouTube, if you want to leave any comments below, feel free. I'll get back to you. I'm going to answer your questions for you. Otis, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Thanks very much for coming by. Linda, you said everything has doubled. It's crazy. Hope you don't need these. Linda, what did you say? You don't need these. What do you mean by that? I will not be living 100 years. um, so you're saying coins make 0 cents? Is that what you're saying? Do you guys all think that makes 0 cents? I'm curious to know what you think. Oh, Otis, you're awesome, man. You said you buy non-perishable items in bulk when they're a bargain. Toilet paper, soap, light bulbs, absolutely. Why would you not buy more oil for your car, more oil filters? You can have an extra set of tires. You can get extra coffee, light bulbs, like you said. You can get Drano and soaps and a whole bunch of these types of things last for many, many years. I actually don't even drink, but I have a lot of bottles of booze. That's always something that you could trade with somebody else, right? We know a lot of farmers. If I ever see a good old farmer, on the side of the road, I'm going to slam on my brakes and go in there and buy honey from them or eggs from them or whatever we can. Farmers are great people. So I love to stock up on stuff. I got years worth of soaps and stuff. Linda, you said you can't afford it. Can't afford it. Food people, never mind. So, I guess you say you can't afford food, so you can't move on and get some silver. Listen, one of these is $30. So I think that everybody should have some of these. I got my first one when I was like 4 years old. I've been collecting them. So, this is insurance. That's what it is. I always show on my lives. Otis knows I have one of these bills that always says silver certificate on it. Silver certificate. See right at the top, silver certificate, and at the bottom it says $1 silver. So 1928, when this bill was made, it would trade for 1 ounce of silver. Today, this ounce of silver is $35. So what happened? They printed 35 times more money. That's what happened. So money can change, but the value doesn't, right? This is money. This is currency. It's a big difference. Clickman, you said, what about the impact of Uganda's gold on the market? Is Uganda the one that said, we found $17 trillion worth of gold in the ground? Is that the guys that said that? I think that ended up being a farce. I don't believe it. Linda, maybe you didn't hear me. Yeah, I said the first thing that you should do is be stocking up on stuff like food. Food lasts 2 years in the freezer, 2 years in your can, and you can build up yourself to have 2 years supply of food in your home for your family. Now, you can't do that all in one shot. Who has the money to go out and just buy 2 years of food one shot? But I don't have that. But what you can do is every week when you go, you buy a can of beans is $1. So just go buy something and put it aside. Keep putting it aside and building up your stock house. Listen, I started with one of these, a long, long time ago. And then I graduated to buying 100 ounces. My point is I'm not trying to show off that I have some of this. I'm saying it's a stepping stone. But I've been doing it for over 20 years. So it doesn't happen really quick. But it's about this continuous drive to get better and to keep protecting ourselves. But absolutely, people need food for sure. Otis, you said you just bought 6 bed sheets for 85% off. Nice. Very nice. There's a lot of things you can buy if you have kids. You need diapers and you need diaper wipes, and that you go through socks and t-shirts and underwear and all kinds of stuff that you're buying regular basis. So you can always buy an extra pack and put it aside, buy an extra one and put it aside. things that you know you're going to need, not the extra stuff, just imagine that you say, well, I know, for example, a can of tuna is good for like 3 years. And you're like, well, I use 1 can of tuna every single week. Well, that means technically you could buy 150 cans of tuna and have them stacked away. Do you know what I mean? And that always has value. So I'm not saying go out and buy like that much. I'm just saying, like, just think of it that way. Whatever that you normally buy, how long is it good for, and how much of that can I fill up? Tires are perishable. They wear out even if they're not used. Yeah, Otis. I mean, I wouldn't go buy 3, 4 tires, sets of tires. I have one extra set. Linda, I guess you're making a lot of comments, Linda. You look after myself scrapping nickels now. I don't know what that means. Michael, you said that you just sold your home in Burlington, Ontario. What do you think you should buy back in? Well, when do you think I should buy? Okay, so you sold your home in Burlington. I wouldn't be buying back in for a while. I expect the deals to start, sometime between now and February. We're going to be seeing a big capitulation in the market, right? Remember, I was just talking about that article where 78% of all of the homes have interest rates under 3%. So how long is it going to take when all those guys come up for renewal and the new rates are going to be 6%? What do you think is going to happen? More and more people, not all of them, but there's a percent that's going to tumble, right? And so as more and more of them come on the market, and there's so many on the market and nobody can qualify for a mortgage, you know what happens, right? Prices are going to come down. So don't be buying anytime soon. The first time I would even think would probably be in like February, but the speed at which the prices are dropping, you think that it's fast. It's actually quite slow. It's the least liquid market, takes the slowest amount of time to move, but we're just seeing it go down, and it's going to drop quite a bit harder when more people are coming up for renewal. As we saw in Canada, 75,000 all the way up to 200,000 people will be hitting their trigger rates sometime this fall. That means that people's mortgage rates are going to go from 1% to 6%, which means a lot, not just like 1% people. A lot of people are going to be defaulting. They're not going to be able to afford it. So, Michael, you know that I operate in Toronto, Canada. I have a team all over Ontario. So we operate from Oshawa all the way down to Niagara Falls, and up to Barrie. So if you want any help on buying in a new home, you can always reach out to me. Just DM me here if you want. Clickman, your opinion about preppers' philosophy. What is preppers' philosophy? So you know what, like, guys, when we talk about preppers, I don't think that I'm a prepper, but I think I might be a version of prepping, if you would. Listen, guys, I grew up, my father grew up on a farm. He grew up on a farm where he had no electricity, no running water. In order for us 6 kids to actually understand what the world was like, he would take us for 2 weeks a year up in the spring, up fishing where there was no humans. We wouldn't see another human for weeks. And then we would in the fall go, and we would go hunting, get our berries, go get our fish, our salmon, and everything. We tried to live off of the land, right? But we lived with no power, no water all the time. So even where my mom is now, she lives in a house, obviously power and water, but it fluctuates. It's kind of out in the woods. So we all obviously have to get her battery packs so that she has power. We have to get her reserve water. And like, what happens if you have no water? And so that kind of rubs off on me, right? We also want to make sure that we are okay. But the number one thing that I think that you can invest in today is your stuff that you're going to need. So the things that you're going to need, there is a chance that a lot of the products over the fall and winter are going to fall off. You're not going to have all the products that you need. There is going to be a lot of food shortages. As you saw, there's now 25 countries that are in some sort of famine or missing, or entire crops that are going down, or banning the export of food. So there's going to be a big crunch. Not saying that you're going to be starving to death in Canada or United States. We can afford a higher price, but that means a lot of other people will not be able to afford it. That's a big, big problem. We got to be able to feed everybody. So the very first thing you can do is look at that. What do you normally use, and buy something that you can eat, because it's going to be more expensive later. But you can go buy a 50-pound bag of lentils and a 50-pound bag of rice. It doesn't cost you very much, and put it aside somewhere in a cool, dark place. Make sure that it doesn't go bad, and just keep that as your emergency stash if anything ever happened. I don't have that much weight, but it really depends on the size of your family. But like, a lot of cans can last 2-3 years. So why don't you have a lot? Like, you can have 1,000 cans stocked up. But like Otis was saying, having light bulbs and things that you generally need, you're going to be going through them on a regular basis. Stock up on those things so that you're going to be okay. But everything has a lifespan on it, right? Everything expires in time. Like Otis was saying, tires aren't good forever. One thing that is good forever is metals, right? And this is money, whereas this is currency. And understanding the two is a big difference, right? So that is very, very important. This was $1. See, it says silver certificate on it. $1 back in the day. Now it's $35. So it was the dollar that changed, not this. So this back in the day would have bought 15 loaves of bread, and today it buys 15 loaves of bread. So it didn't go down, right? Back in the day, my grandpa used to work for $1 a day, and now you got to work for 200 a day. It's a big difference. So it's the dollar that changed. So that's why I say everybody should have some gold and silver in their account. So I'm not really a prepper, but I like to prepare. But it's based on my background. My father was a farmer, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, Otis, you said tuna. If tuna goes on sale, I'd buy 100 cans. You know what? Like, I have 100 because if there's any ever problems, I got enough. And guys, listen, I love tuna. Who doesn't like tuna? By the way, I got tuna. I eat tuna like every 2 weeks, something like that. How often do you have tuna? So I eat 2 cans of tuna every 2 weeks. That means I use 50 a year. So, and they're good for 3 years. So you can have 150. See how I do the math? So you can stock that up, and then I always know I can eat. Otis, you said you saw a condo for sale for $1. This is a very good point, okay? There are tons of properties on sale for $1. I actually kind of don't mind that. Now, let me explain. When they put it up for $1, they're telling you that this is an auction. They want you to come look at it and just put in your bid. I actually find that is more honorable than the other way. Say you have a home that is $1.4 million and people put it on the market for $999,000. Okay. Now 400 people will line up and go look at that property in 1 week. And then they're going to be thinking they have a chance for $1 million. And think of the thousands of hours that they've spent in driving, and all the agents driving, and the lawyers and the mortgage brokers all trying to see if they can make this work. And they had no intention of selling for $999,000. I would much prefer them offer the home for $1. In fact, while we're on the wishing point, I wish everybody, when you sell your home, you put it for the price that you expect. How about that? No more lies, no more deception, no more games. Just put the price for what it is. We had a deal that came in yesterday. We had talked on the phone. We had agreed that the home should be worth $800,000. And then when he sent in the offer said $600,000. And he says, "No, I want to do the dance. I want you to go $600,000. We're saying 8, and then go $790, and he'll go $610, and then go." And so I've seen these deals drag on for weeks as everyone only wants to give $100 at a time. No. I do not believe in this bad faith real estate stuff. I am not going to perpetuate that. Listen, we're not going to put the seller through that. I'm not going to put the buyer through that. Tell us what you want, and let's see if we can make that work. Why are we going to bother with this 2-week dance? So I really, honestly, I can't stand realtors sometimes, okay? Most times, realtors are the biggest problem. And I don't like games. Everybody just wants to buy a home or sell a home. And why can't we just be grown-ups about it? Anyway, that's just me. Yeah, Otis, 100%. It's a bidding war. Yeah. This is for user 495. Sorry, I don't know the name. It says, so do you think now is the best time to buy a home or wait a bit longer for a better price? Absolutely do not buy now. Do not buy a house right now. Do not let all this stuff burn through. There's a forest fire coming through the housing market. Leave it alone. We're going to come back later after the fire has burned through and we're going to buy a house at a lot better deal. Don't do anything right now. Just wait. The prices are going to drop a lot more and there's more interest rate hikes to come. So just stay away from that. Hey, you guys, if you like this stuff, can you just hit the heart or whatever it is in the bottom? It helps out the algorithm a lot, man. If you can tap on the hearts a couple times. Any of you, if you like this stuff, you can follow me on YouTube as well. And you can go to this link right here. Same name, Rough Team Realty over on YouTube. I really appreciate it. You guys on YouTube tonight, if you want to ask any questions, I'm going to monitor your questions as well. And you can ask some questions. Yeah, do not buy right now. The longer we wait, the interest rates are going to hurt even more. That's right. But we're waiting for massive market capitulation. This is the question I ask you. Everyone says, I can't make it. My daycare is up. My taxes are up. My hydro is up. My food is up. My gas is up. And now the average mortgage payment is up $1,500. People don't have it. So most financial advisors, which I am not, advise 3 months of your savings aside for emergencies. Some people say 6 months emergency savings. Okay. So how much do you have? So you have 3 months to go before you go bankrupt, 4 months to go, 5, 6 months to go. Listen, if they just leave this for a year, you're going to see a lot of damage. So you have to wait until you are hearing a lot of people are losing their jobs and companies closing down and like putting their homes up for sale. When that happens, there's going to be a lot lower prices. Yeah, Otis, for sure. Like this is what I've been saying, guys. The market went like this, bananas for a long, long time, and now it's crested a little bit at the peak. It has a lot farther to go. Okay, we just broke the peak and started to come down. It kind of looks like a cane, like a long string up and then this little boop, boop, but it's got farther to go. But like Otis is saying, it really depends on the type of home, right? If you have a condo, if you have a detached house, commercial properties, and what city is it? Is it a big city? Is it a B-class city, a C-class city? Like what kind of city? Is it in a stable market? You gotta look at all that stuff. Why I was saying this before, where workers are not welcome, is we live in cities these days where nobody can get a job and no job pays you enough to live in the city. What do we mean by that? We were reading an article before where firemen, police, border service officers, ambulances, garbage men, all the people that work for the city, none of them make over $100,000. Yet in order to qualify for mortgages downtown, you have to make $250,000 a year or more. Some of the buildings that we deal with, I saw a one bedroom condo where you have to make $400,000 a year to qualify. Who can afford that? So you cannot live in a city where its workers cannot live in it. And that is the problem. We were talking earlier in the show here that this one lady we were talking about, she bought a house in 1999 as a part-time nurse. Today, in order to qualify to buy the same house today, you need to make $1 million a year. So that's the thing. Forget about the dollar figures for a second. Just 1999, you could buy it as a part-time nurse, and now you have to be a CEO of a company making $1 million a year for the same house. You cannot have a city full of millionaires and nothing else. You need people to be able to clean the streets and change the lights and work in the sewers and provide water and do all the essential services that we need. We need that, or else a city will die. So it's not a terrible thing that the prices are coming down now. I don't want anyone to get hurt. There's going to be a lot of people that get hurt. So I don't wish ill on anybody, but I feel that people have to have a chance to be able to make money. So right now we're looking at the essential workers in Toronto that get the job today. Forget if they've had it for 15 years and they're older and they bought it at a cheap rate. I'm talking today. If that person got the job today for the city of Toronto, he would have to live 2.5 hours outside of the city that he services. And that's the problem. We need to have essential care workers being able to work in the city that they service. In order to filter out parking spots, you used to filter out anything under 50,000. Yeah, Otis, very good. Hey guys, this is a poll. What do you think is the most expensive parking spot I ever sold? Going once, going twice, $150,000. Told that to my mom. Her jaw almost like fell out of her face. For parking, crazy. So I think, Otis, you got to be upping your limit a little bit here. This is for skinny dips. Remember, I'm not a mortgage broker. I'm a real estate broker. But we run a lot of different businesses. We have a lot of different homes. But I can tell you, in my opinion, if you guys followed me last year, I was saying in October, November, December, January, fix your rate, fix your rate, fix it, fix it, fix it. Everybody I talked to and my next door neighbor's dog, I was telling, fix your rate. Lowest rates in 5,000 years of history. And especially when the government set out and said, we will be raising rates. Oh man, I fixed everything. Okay. So if you've gone through this onslaught that is already happening, we're already kind of near the top. I don't see them being able to go much more without massive breaking of the market. I do expect them to raise it 2 more times this year, but I think by February, they're going to start pulling back. So I'm just telling you about me, what I do. If I had to do it today, I probably would go variable. That's what I would do today because you haven't fixed it already. And then I would expect somewhere around next year, the market should be in such poor shape that they're going to have to revert and go back. Hey, Jeremy, how are you, man? Good to see you. Thanks very much for coming by, bud. Jeremy is one of our faithful YouTube guys. He's here like every night. Later, Gator, are there changes to blind bidding? No, not really. So here are the changes to blind bidding that you got in the news that made it look like it was fantastic, where you could know the outcome of the other information, like what are the other bids. What people didn't realize is that we had this ability years ago. Now, the seller has the choice to tell the agent, yes, tell everybody what the bids are, but they never do because it's not really in their interest to do so. Though every buyer wants it, right? The sellers never want to. So even though we have the ability to share, if we don't have the permission, we cannot. So it isn't really like it's going to change very much. The only information that you are entitled to is, for sure, always, is how many bids there are. That's what you're entitled to know there's 6 bids or there's, offers, 8 offers, 10 offers, 1 offer. You have the right to know how many offers, but you cannot get the other information unless you, meaning the price or the conditions, unless you have permission from the seller. Otis mentioned, I heard the USA is slowing down increasing prime rate until after midterm elections in November, right? So everybody, there's a million articles that are out there, right? They're always saying that it's going to go do this, go do that. Listen, the last time that Canada was raising the interest rates, I heard people saying 0, 25 basis points, 50, 75, 100, 125, all over the map. Here's the thing. It wouldn't surprise me one single bit. Listen, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, the government did things to help people whether you like it or not, kind of like a parent, right? You're doing this because it's for your own good. Then in the 70s, we started kind of changing the way we do business, right? Democracies all around the world were now using the federal funds, money, to buy votes. Very different story. And this just increased over time. More and more. After 2009 and the Citizens United in the United States, it went full like batshit crazy, man. It went bananas, okay? So once it went over the edge, now almost all their funding is to buy votes for the next thing. Here's a funny thing: in Canada and the United States, if we go back and look in history, it's always the party that has the most money that wins the election. Curious how that works, right? So whoever, why do we even have to do the whole stage and theater dog and pony show, right? Why do we even go do that then if it's just like find out who has the most money at the beginning and just do it that way? So here's the thing, with midterms coming up, it's so important for them that they're going to be passing this stuff like forgiving of the loans for their education and so forth. They're going to be doing a lot of that. It wouldn't surprise me one bit that they're going to say CPI is now under control and we're going to lower down how much interest we're going to raise on the next time and say we got it all under control just till they win the midterms. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't know. And then I think they might do another whack and raise it even higher again after they win the midterms. I can't put anything past them, man. This is the world we live in, you know. Kind of crazy, but it's the world we got. Thanks for coming on tonight, Jeremy. Nice to see you. If you have any questions, though, you can let me know. Where was the parking spot? It was at, I don't remember the address. It's at the Ritz-Carlton in Toronto. But I don't remember the address anymore. The Ritz-Carlton, very, very fancy place. You know, like there's a lot of condos that are in there. It's a hotel, a high-end hotel, but the top of the high-end hotel is a lot of units, and the units are 10 million, 15 million. You know, they're very, very expensive units. Sam, you said Innis at Friday Harbor went over asking price. I don't know what you're meaning, Sam. Sorry, man. Otis, you said you did a variable rate a year ago. Your rate is still well below current fixed rate. You're staying variable. Nice. Awesome. Hope that you keep winning at it no matter what you're doing, you know. Anyway, the things are going bananas these days. Prices are dropping everywhere, but not that's in the major cities. There are still places that are not going down at all. And so those are more stable markets, but they're small markets. So it's not the big ones. So if you're going to be thinking, if you're in Canada, well, I'm looking at Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver, those are all down all over the place. So then you have to start looking in smaller places, but those properties are not going down. Remember, if you're in a $10 million home, you could lose 60%. If you're in a $3 million home, you might lose 50. If you're in a $1 million home, you might only lose 25. And if you're in a $500,000 home, you might only go down 5. But then if you're in a $200,000 home, you might go up 25%. That's how it kind of works. Nah, you actually believe in that Matrix book? So what I always say that I want you guys to like get free of the Matrix. It's not bad. I believe in the movie and that we're living in a computer simulation. That's not what I mean. I mean that we live in a system that is designed not to teach you how to break free and become financially free if you want. That's why a lot of our students that we try to teach, we generally try to get people to retire within 36 months. And so like if you do things the right way, that is where you start like getting these massive leaps. So I have a list up here of my top 10 books that you should be reading. And you know, these are my books that this year, these are my top 2 for this year, but these are advanced. I wouldn't start on these 2 books. These 2 books are advanced. Read the other 10 first. So financial education is the key to breaking free. Listen, doesn't matter what year that you live in. 1000 BC, doesn't matter if you're in ancient Greece, ancient Rome, doesn't matter if you were in the Dutch in the 1600s, the France in the 1700s, it doesn't matter if you're in England in the 1900s. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the system. If you had an emperor, they were trying to take your money. If you had a king, they were trying to take your money. If you were in Russia and you were a serf, they were trying to take your money. But then they just changed what the mechanism is. Now, capitalism is where companies and high net worth people are just sucking all the money from the bottom. It's the same thing. If you go back into feudal England, where they had all of the lords of the land, that's where we got the term landlords from. Back then, it was all about getting all the peasants to pay all the money up to the guys who owned all the land. It doesn't matter what they call those systems. All of it is so that a few can make a lot of money off the many. And we just live in a capitalist system where it's another system that allows that. But in the old days, you couldn't do anything to change your stars. You were either the king or his kid, or you're not. You couldn't make your way up. And that's the cool thing about the system that we have now. Me was on welfare. I couldn't even afford food. I was begging for food. I had to bring my laundry to my mom's house. Couldn't afford gas. I had the temperature turned down to 9 degrees in my apartment because I was so cold. I couldn't heat it in the wintertime. But you know what changed? Is I started reading a lot of books and I started educating myself. So that's how to break free of the matrix. Financial education. But I've been doing it for 20 years, so it takes time. It takes time. It's not a quick fix. Ottawa is Ottawa resident. You're saying Ottawa is faring okay because our government population. That being said, the inventory isn't moving at all. So Ottawa resident. I love Ottawa. I have family that lives in Ottawa and in the surrounding areas of Ottawa. Ottawa, I always say, is Canada's form of communism. Okay, maybe I said that to you before. Don't trigger anybody. The reason I say that is that everybody's wages are stable and no one ever loses their job. When I go to Ottawa, everyone and their dog works for the government, right? What else is there in Ottawa? Everyone works for the government. Everyone is normally making between 50 grand and 150,000. If you were somebody that was making a lot more, you're going to move to a massive urban center, right? So the wages are pretty steady. And even during the great financial crisis, 2007, 8, 9, 10, when we went through that, all of the people that I knew, whether you had a gym, a hair salon, selling cars, it didn't matter what industry they're in, all of them were stable. They never went down at all. So, that is because the government workers always have a job security. So Canada is very, very stable. I mean, Ottawa is very stable compared to all the other cities. It's a pretty stable market. But your point is there's a lot of homes for sale and nothing is moving. No one's buying anything. Listen, it's not just because there's a lot of homes on the market. Nobody can qualify anymore. The bank levels that they're going through right now, they are scared and they're not giving you the same type of mortgages you did before. And instead of getting it approved in 2 days, it could take you 2 months and they want a lot. So it's tough world out there right now. Pareto. Otis, I'm sorry. I don't know who the Pareto rule. In the 1600s, it noted 20% of people had 80% of the wealth. You know what? I would say that's actually probably better than what it is today. What is it today? I bet you that 0.1% have 50% of the wealth. I'd like to know what that number is, Ottawa resident. You agree with me, Ottawa resident? Ottawa's a weird place, man. It's like they're in this like time warp. Literally a city on their own. Hey, Jeremy, anything? I haven't forgotten about you. I see you here, but if you want to tell me anything, you can. Ottawa's a funny place. It's a okay place to retire, but the problem I find with Ottawa is everybody that ever goes there, they're going there to climb the ladder and they kind of change jobs every single year until it's big enough and they get the heck out and never go back. Omelette de fromage. How to survive cold winter with electric bills. I mean, listen, man, I lived through it myself. I was in places and I wouldn't turn the temperature above to get to double digits. I would have it at 9 degrees Celsius, freezing. I had almost all the clothes on in the house. I'm sleeping in a winter jacket. So I understand how hard it is. I really do. And I can tell you the difference for me is I worked a lot. At the time, I could barely afford food. I couldn't afford my heating bills. I couldn't afford anything. So I started educating myself, reading books and working. Guess what? At work, it was heated. So I would just work more. I worked a lot, and then I started figuring out on my own over many, many years reading. That's why I think financial education is the best thing that you can do for yourself. Oh, Otis, this is some of the numbers that you were telling me. So you're saying in Canada, 10% of the population. Sorry, my phone had a low battery alert. You're saying in Canada, 10% of the population has 90% of the wealth, but in the United States, 1% of the population has 99% of the wealth. That is crazy, right? And of course, American is a little bit more capitalist. We're very socialist in Canada. So it doesn't really surprise me that it's that way. But even though Canada is a little bit better, is it okay that 10% have 90% of the wealth? And this is what I mean. Doesn't matter if you go back to feudal England or if you go back to when the Dutch ruled the world or when Russia had serfdom. There's always a different system that is designed so there's a few people at the top and a lot of people at the bottom. And so we got to figure out the system and use those levers for ourselves. This is the best part, is all the other systems that you can think of. You are what you are. Look at it. If you're in India and you're in the caste system, you are what you are. That's it. The way you're born is the way you're going to die. But at least here, even though we're in a system where 10% of the population has 90% of the money, you can learn and change it. I was in the absolute bottom, could not get heat, could not get food, and I got out. How did I do it? I just educated myself. And that's where this is the Canadian dream, I think, and the American dream. Forget having a house, white picket fence, a dog outside, a little tube, a tire hanging off a tree, 2 kids. That's not the dream. And what, have a 40-year mortgage on the thing? That's not a good life. The life is that you could give your kids a better life than you had. And we call that upward mobility, the opportunity to change your life, not the guarantee, but the opportunity. And that's where I took it, where I did a lot of education, a lot of reading nonstop. And I worked 80 hours a week for decades, for 20 years. So that's where I say that you can do it, but it's not easy. Now, my dad was a pilot. My dad flew planes. My dad went to my older brother, and my older brother said, man, I wish I could be a pilot. But, it takes 10, 15 years for him to do it. That's how long it took my dad. He had to make all the money to buy the gas to actually get up in the planes. And he says, I want everything you have, but I don't want to do what you did to get it. And that right there is the problem with the majority of society, because they want what you want, but they don't want to work for it, right? So everybody wants to do what I do, but it took me 20 years to do it. And everybody wants it in like 30 seconds. I know in this world, everyone wants it like this fast, but it doesn't happen. It is that inward thing in you that says, I'm going to really hustle and nonstop work until I get to where I want to go. That's what tough times are. You know what I mean? Kevin Thompson, you said on YouTube, you said great videos. Thanks, buddy. A lot of real estate agents are saying it's like the 1929 crash. Everyone was a stockbroker. What does that mean? A lot of real estate agent, like the 29 crash, everyone was a stockbroker. I'd like to know what you mean by that, Kevin. Could you expand on that? Let's get into that. Listen, in Toronto right now, we have 100,000 agents in Toronto and the greater area. Highest density of real estate agents in North America. Okay. 72,000 agents downtown in the Toronto Real Estate Board. And then all the boards around it, like Hamilton, Burlington, they have another like 20 something thousand in there. It's just under 100,000. That's a lot of people, right? But here's the crazy part. 50% of them never even sold one thing last year. Another 35% of them or something did one. If you look at the math, 90% of agents quit within 3 years. So here we are in an industry where the vast majority of people have no idea what they're doing. And they kind of give us a bad name. That's why I think, I don't know, maybe this is crazy. I had an idea and I said, maybe all real estate agents should pay $50,000 a year for their license and have mandatory education for everybody. And that way, if everyone was paying 50 grand a year, that they're going to be damn serious about their job, right? Everybody thinks that money just rains from the heavens. It's going to be really easy. It's brutal. Can you imagine over 90% quit and they can't make any money, right? So it's a tough job. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. Kevin, you said 1 out of 84 people in Toronto have a real estate license. There you go. It's bananas. It's crazy. But now that you're on that as well, I see all these people on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all over, and they're like, and it's the best time to buy. Now is the best time to buy. I see this every time. The other agents on the phone, when we're doing a deal, they're like, oh, this is the best time to buy. I'm like, you're actually trying to sell me. They're just desperate for a commission of some kind, right? So if you want to go look, do you know I was saying that there's about 100,000 agents in the Greater Toronto region? How many people do you think sell one property a month? How many people do you think sell one a month? And that's about how much you have to do okay. It's less than 1%. So you got to be in the top 1%. It's very, very hard. You're getting into a job that's really, really tough. It's not an easy job. But here's the good thing is, do you know Warren Buffett has this expression that once the tide goes out, you're going to see who's left swimming naked. I love it. You're going to see who's the pretenders. Because nowadays, there's no way to tell who's actually telling the truth or who's not. That's the deal. Because you can have some guy who has this baller house and he has a very beautiful wife and he's driving a Lamborghini and everything seems perfect. But what you don't see is that everything is maxed out. His credit cards are maxed out. And the moment there's a dip in the market, right, they go and take his car from him, take his house from him, and he's not going to be on Instagram anymore. And his wife will maybe leave him because they can't have the money. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's the tough times that make realtors and anyone with a job really, or has their own business. It's that tenacity to keep going, right? But we're going to see that every time there's a recession, 50%, 60% of the agents are all going to quit. There's going to be very few that are left through the lull. You know what I mean? Kevin Thompson on YouTube, you said you should be selling at least one a month. Yeah, you should. But like, there's hardly anybody. There's hardly anybody that actually does that. It's very, very, very rare for you to find people who are actually making money in real estate. So this is what I always say. This is my expression. Everybody knows 5 realtors, but everybody has 100 bad stories. And it is because the majority of realtors don't do any business, right? And so that's the mega problem here. And I think there should be a lot more education in real estate. And how could we make it so that we have more people who are actually interested in doing this as a career? I don't know. One of my ideas was like just jack up the rate of entry. So instead of being able to get in for a couple $1,000s to buy your books and write the test, maybe we got to make it more expensive. I don't know. What do you guys think? I said maybe make it $50,000 a year. Because I know if you made it $50,000 a year, I'd still be working in real estate, but 90% of the agents would quit. So like that's what I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Over on TikTok, Otis, you said, unlike David, used to find hubcaps on the highway to sell at the scrapyard. Now you have a 6-figure income. Otis, awesome. Good job, man. Do you see, like, I scrapped it out. I was 9 years old, and going around the neighborhood and putting up flyers. Actually, I still have one in my file folder, and it says free lawn cutting. 9 years old. And I would go and cut their lawn on a Saturday, and I would say, do you like it? And they would try and pay me, and I wouldn't take it. And I said, if you like it, would you let me cut your grass every week? And if they said, no, that's okay. Enjoy your lawn. And I would leave. I got so many customers. I had neighborhood guys cutting lawns. I had all of my brothers were cutting lawns. Can you imagine little 9-year-old me, a little dude going up with my little receipt book, and I was writing, $7 to cut your lawn. I started hustling, man. But even that, it didn't work out because I still was on welfare later because I was broke and I didn't understand what financial education could do for you. You can do it. Invest with TJ. David, did the price of land drop? In most areas, no. There's a lot of people asking some bananas prices for lands. Like crazy. Like I'm talking February numbers for land. It's tough to find land prices at a reasonable price now. We're not really seeing that right now. I hope so. But if you're going to buy land, remember, it's very, very, very hard to get a loan on land. Near impossible. What you want is to have a big chunk of land with a home on it. And as long as you have a home on it, now you can get a mortgage on the whole thing. That's what you got to do. Otis, you said my agent started selling houses for Daryl Kent 40 years later, and he's with Sotheby's. Yeah. Awesome, man. Look at that. That guy's got history. He's got stories, man. He knows his way around the block. Omelette de fromage. So fromage is cheese in French. He said it's real estate a good in recession. That's like saying, does cheese taste good? You got good cheese, you got bad cheese, you got stinky cheese, and you got moldy cheese. And, there's so many flavors, and then it's not good for a lot of different people. So is real estate good in a recession? Damn skippy it is. It's amazing. So you have to diversify your stocks, right? You have to have a lot of different stocks, never just one, but you have to have a diversified portfolio of real estate so you can always weather through these slow times. You also have to be prepared to be buying in a dip, because that's when you make the most money. Warren Buffett always says there's going to be times where it's raining gold and you have to run out, not with a little basket, but with a bathtub to pick it all up. And I think that we're going to be heading into a time where we're going to be able to buy a lot of properties at a huge discount. Invest with TJ. Most realtors have access to real estate license to get access to MLS data. Most are just investors. Not from my experience, but maybe from your experience, because, in order to have your real estate license here where I live, it's $10,000 a year. So, when we're paying those access fees to get into it, that's a very, very expensive way just for you to get some data. And the majority of it in Toronto, you can get the scrap data from House Sigma or something like that. So the majority of people that I've seen are not investors that pay to have their license. It's usually people who have large families. I have got cousins. I have 12 people living in the same house, like they have big families, and they're like, I'm just going to do it for all my family members or whatever. That's normally what I see. Invest with TJ. You're asking me, do we expect land prices to fall in a recession? Yes, everything's going to fall. Houses and everything. But here's the key. Not everything falls at the same rate. Like I was saying before, a $10 million house will drop 60%, and a $5 million house will drop 50%, and $3 million house might drop 40%. And again, it all is location dependent where it is. That's why you got to work with somebody who has some experience, been around the block, Yeah, Otis, you're saying that in Canada, we don't need TrebNet data anymore. We don't need the apps, and you don't need a license anymore to get the data, right? They had to go to court, and that information is now public. Kevin, over on YouTube, you're saying a real estate agent have had it easy in the last 5 years. Right now, if I was hiring an agent, he would have to prove he has a good plan. Genius. I love it. And they have had it easy in the past 5 years, man. Honestly. So the problem that has happened in the past 5 years is that I find that people's morality and what would you say, manners? People's morality and manners have gone way downhill in the last 5 years. And there's a lot of bad faith that is happening in the market all over. But as a rule, that's right. The market is just going up and up. So how do you ever go wrong? Now is the best time to buy. Now is the best time to buy. But when you start having these bumps, it's going to shake out a lot of agents, mortgage agents, investors, all the people who are over leveraged and pretending. They're all going to get wiped out. All of them. So that's what Warren Buffett says. When the tide goes out, you're going to be left to see who's naked, right? Who's swimming naked. So you're saying that if you were going to hire an agent, that you would he'd have to prove that you have a good plan. That's the best thing that you could possibly do. I always say you got to interview at least 5 agents, 5, because it's like going on a date. When you go out with a beautiful woman, you're going to say, hey, how are you? Do you ever want to get married? Do you ever want to have kids? Do you want to live in a house? Where do you want to live? I don't know. You got to make sure you're on the same wavelength, right? So you got to meet a realtor who, like, you guys have the same principles and that you have good ideas and you could work together and he has your best interests at heart, and you're going to learn a lot of that through meeting them. So I always think you should try. I know it takes some time, but interview 5 of them. Nowadays, you could do it over Zoom just to find a good one. And Kevin on YouTube, you're saying he has to know the market, not just any agent can do that. Absolutely. And this goes to another issue. So when you go to a person, you got to list their home and they say, what do you think it's worth? And you're like, I don't know. I got to do research. Guess what? I just redid my basement. Does that add any value? I don't know. I'm not really sure I'm sure, but how much? I don't know. I have a second spot in the backyard, a second parking spot off of the lane. What am I supposed to do now? I don't know. I don't know how much more it's worth. I have a 4-bedroom home instead of a 3-bedroom home, but the whole area is 3-bed. How much price does it raise it up? We're now in skilled. You have to know your area. What happens if they say, should I put a pool in the backyard, right? I know that it costs $100,000 to put the pool in, for example, and they might only get $50,000 back when they go to sell it. Bad investment. But if we put 50 grand into the kitchen, we can make $100,000 back, right? That's the key. That's where a realtor is really good if he knows his business. Do you know what I mean? So if there isn't any substitute for experience, experience trumps everything else. Kevin, you're saying on YouTube, price is important, but if the price is wrong, it could stay on the market long. Absolutely. If you don't price the property right, it could be on the market for 100 days. You don't know, right? Agents really need to do their research, right? But they should know a lot right up front. They should know the areas. You're very right, Kevin. Over on TikTok, you said before things like House Sigma, you had realtor friends who would give you the data. Yeah, that's what I mean. Everyone always knows 5 agents. Everybody does, right? But everyone always has 100 bad stories because there's so many agents who haven't been in the market for very long. It's not their fault. They're just starting off, right? And they don't have the experience, and then they can make some mistakes, or they just don't know. So, everyone knows 5 agents, but everyone has seen a lot of bad stories, so that's why the whole industry, they look at them like they're used car salesmen. You know what I mean? There isn't very much respect giving to the industry unless you're somebody like when I work with the clients for many, many years building their portfolio and we've worked for years together. All of a sudden there's a lot of respect because they see how much work it is, right? That's the only time. So that's why I love working with my existing clients. It's kind of hard always being on a first date kind of thing. So when you go out with all these new people, and they're always kind of judging you. So you never know how it's going to go. But this is what I advise everyone. Meet 5 agents and choose after that. Invest with TJ. You said recession is very good. It cleanses the system. The Fed should just back off and let the cycle complete. So absolutely, this is a normal thing, right? Remember, we always talk about other types of economies that are out there. You can have a Marxist type of economy or communist economy. And here's the thing about communism is it's just kind of like this. It's always steady, but it's always at the bottom, right? It's always down here. They're just eking by and they're always kind of nothing spectacular. When you get into capitalism, you have big booms up and down, up and down. And so it's kind of like a roller coaster. And it happens every 5 to 7 years. There's a massive recession and people will lose their shirts. Who loses their shirts in a massive recession? It always is people who have overextended themselves and they got too much debt. And when they have too much debt on them and the market just moves a little bit, they get wiped out. So in stocks, they call that margin called. They can get completely cleared out. And then that just drags down the whole system on everybody. The poor suffer the most. But guess who's sitting back? All the rich guys are sitting back waiting to buy everything at bargain basement prices, right? So that is the trade that we made. Do we want to just be like terrible forever at the bottom, or are we willing to take these bumps, right? And so most of the people in democracies around the world want this bump. It's a higher quality, but you now have to figure out, how do I make a good amount of money and not lose, right? So that's where you want to buy high and kind of sell low. Really, really tough to do. Easy to say. Brando, you said you agree on experience. Listen, this is what a lot of, I used to hire agents. I no longer do that. But I would always say to my new agents is that I don't care if you think you're talented. That doesn't mean anything to me. I would rather take somebody who has a good work ethic over talent any day. Because if you have a good work ethic, you're guaranteed to make money. If you have talent, it doesn't mean anything. So if we take some of the greatest greats of all time, let's say Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or something, they clearly have talent, clearly. But how did they get to where they are? If you go watch some YouTube videos about Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, these guys are like, I get up in the morning, I train for 4 hours. I go take a nap for an hour, I train for another 4. I go eat dinner and come back and train for another 4. And I did that for 10 years. Kobe Bryant used to try and take 1,000 shots before a game. Okay. So talent schmalent, that doesn't mean anything. It's the repetitions. It is the drive that you keep going. Talent doesn't mean anything if you don't have hard work ethic. But if you don't have talent, don't worry about it. You can have really good work ethic, right? I don't have any talent. I don't think I have talent. I don't have any God-given gifts. All I have is I had a great father, a great mother. That is my gift. That I had great parents that supported me and treated me good my whole life. I had cancer 2 times. They helped me get through it both times. And when I got out of it, I just decided I'm going to work a lot and educate myself. So I made it, and it was hard, but it's hard work. But everybody who comes and talks to me, they're like, David, I want to make $100,000 a year minimum, and I want it guaranteed. And I need you to be able to guarantee me $3,000 a week. And I'm like, it's not going to work that way in real estate. In real estate, you got to be willing to make no money for a couple years before you start making money. And nobody can ever handle it. And that's why the majority of real estate agents, they leave, right? Kevin, thanks for all your comments, and Jeremy on YouTube, thank you very much as well. If you guys have any other questions you hear, thank you for all your comments. And Otis and Brando, thank you very much for coming on. And invest with TJ. I recognize a lot of you guys' names that are here, but I mean, it's Saturday night. You guys should be resting. I should be spending some time with my wife, but here we are, it's Saturday night. We're still working. Kevin over on YouTube. When you were buying in 2021, I was looking at a place listing at $599, and my agent said it would sell for $100K over asking. I was sure that the $599 was true value. We never put a bid, and it sold for $599. So this goes back to the question, right? Does your agent have experience, and has he proved that, right? So of course it's easy for an agent just to say, oh, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over, because it's not his money. You know what I mean? If an agent has a responsibility, if he says that it should go 100 over, why? Prove it to me. How many stories is it? How many, what renovations have been done? Has the basement finished? What quality is it? Is it 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10? Is it like baller, like Hollywood level? Is there's a new kitchen? How much is that worth? How much is that new bathroom worth? What is the back worth? You got to have a lot of kind of experience to be able to piece together what it's worth. And I see it all the time. They're always like, oh, it's going to be worth this. And it's not even close, right? So in 2021 was a bananas year. Let's hope that you bought it. Oh, you said you didn't get that house, eh? You said you didn't get it. Yeah. Listen, agents, here I am. I'm a realtor, and I don't usually like realtors. I don't like it when they talk that. Usually when there's an agent that has been an agent for like 20 years, and he's been around a long time, he doesn't need the sale. Do you know what I mean? He's got enough business that he doesn't need the sale. And once you get to that point where you don't need the sale, then you start becoming a little bit better. That's what I think. Then the agent is a good agent when he doesn't need it anymore. Because when you have that commission in the front of your brain, that's all you're going to say whatever you can just to get himself. I need to pay electricity next month and I have nothing. So I got to tell this guy he's got to spend whatever he can to do it. I see that all the time. So maybe you got to talk to somebody who doesn't need it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Kevin, you did buy not that house, but another. But according to you knew what the intrinsic value of the home was based on your own research. So good for you to figure out like the real number. And hopefully you got the property that you wanted at a good deal. And maybe you had to use a different agent, right? Kevin, you wrote you would go overboard for your customers. Are you saying that about me or what you do for your customers? You would go overboard for my customers. Oh, you were watching the area for over a year. See, that's what you got to do. You got to know your area. You got to know. I always say drive by the area. My best tip is Saturday mornings, you go to the Tim Hortons in the local area. If you have any bums in the area, party animals in the area, they're getting up and going and getting coffee. Like that's my like litmus test. You know what I mean? So you always have to be able to go to the area, know your areas, and treat your clients super, super well. And then it always works out for you. I don't know why people don't get that. Back on TikTok, you guys. Thank you guys for clicking all the likes below. I really appreciate it. Helps out the algorithm. Here I am Saturday night. My poor wife is working and I'm working. Just a bunch of schmucks. Just still working away. Please continue to like it. And any of you guys on TikTok, if you can follow me on YouTube, it would really help me out. I'm trying to help out the algorithm, really trying to help people. But here's the thing. If I just threw a bucket of cold water on somebody, I'd probably get 1 million views, right? But if you actually try and help somebody, the irony is that the algorithm doesn't like you very much. Invest with TJ. You said agents may definitely be desperate right now. Yeah, buyers need to be smart. Absolutely. Agents are crazy desperate right now. So be careful. Do your own homework. Do your own due diligence. That's what I would say. Otis, you're saying a bad agent will say, drop the price 10,000. Why? It's only $250 in commission. Just want to close the deal. Yeah. So you got to make sure that you're working with the right person. Commentator, you said nice tie. Thank you. Appreciate it. Pretty cool, eh? It's kind of like a paisley pattern or something like that. I don't know. Do you like it? I like it. David, did I ever buy a property sight not seen? All the time. My last 4 properties, I never even went into them. I never even saw them. They weren't even in Ontario. So I buy properties all the time, sight unseen. Don't go look at them all the time. How do you do that, David? Why would you do that? That's so risky. Why would you? No, it's not. It's actually not. It's all in your head. If you have a really good team to go do the right things, you're going to be okay. So who do I send in? Number 1, I send in a realtor. And I want comparables from him. Number 2, I'll send in a property manager. The property manager, remember, they got to take care of all that stupid stuff that nobody wants to do. They got to get the phone call in the middle of the night to go fix the toilet. They don't want those phone calls. They just want somebody to move in and be Casper the Friendly Ghost and like never show up, never call them. That's what they want. So they're going to be making sure that the house is okay. They don't want to be responsible for all these phone calls. So I call a realtor. Sometimes I'll call a lawyer. I call a property manager, and then I get a home inspector to go and look at the property. If all of them are all saying, yeah, it's a good property, that's good for me. And I already have all of my rent numbers and stuff. I think, though, you can't do that as a beginner. You know, you have to kind of trust the process, but you have to end up there one day. And so I knew that I have to end up there. I know real estate really well, so I know that you have to end up in commercial. So for me, it was a race for me to get up to commercial as fast as I could and into multi-residential and buying out of province or buying out of state. If you can get to that level, that's where that financial freedom is. So the faster you can bend your brain to understand how that works, the faster it's going to be for you, the better off you'll be. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm rooting for you guys. I hope that you get there. Kevin over on YouTube, you said, I don't think agents have had to work hard. The majority don't work hard. Honestly, they get a real estate license because they want to work 1 hour a day and they want to make 100,000 a year. That's what most people want. And it never happens. Over 90% fail. If you are a good agent, you work all the time. Guys, I don't get paid by hour. I have no boss. I read every single day from around 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And I read every single day from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. 7 days a week. All right. That's just to keep up on the changes. There's so many laws changing. There's so many things changing. I got to read 4 hours a day just to be good at my job. Nobody even wants to work 1 hour a day. And I'm not paid for those 4 hours. I'm paid at those 4 hours of reading makes me exceptionally good at what I do. Right. But you got to be committed to that. Nobody wants to read 30 hours a week. Nobody is willing to put in the work. Everyone wants a shortcut. So most agents, yeah, unfortunately, they don't work very hard and they want everything easy, and they have had it easy for several years, right? But you got to be able to go through the tough times and think longer term. You know what? I love the Japanese. Japanese are like some of the coolest people on earth. I love a lot of their principles. The Japanese believe a short-term plan is 20 years. And here in North America, short-term plan is 90 days. That's it. They want everything right now. Want to double my money tomorrow. But in Japan, it's 20 years. So I got to think long term. I need to be financially free. What does that mean? What does that mean? How many dollars a month do you need to make? And then how many homes does it take for you to own to make that? And then what levers can I pull to make me get that many homes the fastest? And that's what you got to be thinking through your mind. Kevin, you said you're selling again soon and going to use a different agent. You're looking for a good agent in Hamilton. Well, I don't know. I work in Hamilton. I work everywhere from Oshawa all the way down to Niagara Falls and up to Barrie. You don't have to use me, but if you ever want, it's free. You can jump on Zoom and we can have a conversation and see if we can help you. This is what I mean is everybody has 5 agents. They know 5 agents personally. Oh, my cousin or my son's girlfriend just got it, or everybody knows somebody, right? But they all have a lot of bad stories. So you got to find somebody who knows real estate really well. Kevin, you're more than welcome. You can send me a message, contact@roughteamrealty.com. Roughteamrealty.com is my website, but it's contact@roughteamrealty. You can send me an email if you want, or you can DM me on YouTube. You're on YouTube, whatever you want. Back over on TikTok. Oh boy, you guys have been giving me a lot of comments. Thanks, guys. Invest with TJ. How do I buy a property sight unseen? Hopefully I answered that for you. How do you validate the property? I told you how I do that. I send it in a big team of people. That's where I have the property manager and construction person and realtor. They all go check it out, and property management for sure. TJ, you said, Avman, you said, is there a fee for staging? Really depends on the property, right? Sometimes if they're really, really small properties, you need staging. If you have a very large property, you need staging as well. And it really depends on a lot of factors, but most of the time, no, there's no fee for staging. There has been times, depending on the circumstances, depending on the homes, depending on a lot of different things, that we split it, but most of the time, no. Invest with TJ, you said, I bought a tax sale sight unseen in Wallaceburg. Later found out it was heritage and completely with mold. Oh, brutal. That is tough, man. Avman, you said you saw one on Zillow and had Photoshop furniture. Common. Yes, very, very common, Avman. So the price of staging has gone bananas. Absolutely bananas. So let me, guys, give you a story, right? I lost some money. How did I lose some money? We sold $1 million property. The $1 million property makes $25,000 of commission. It's $50,000 for all, $25,000 for the other side, $25,000 for us. So you're like, David, how did you lose on $25,000? You have to pay your brokerage. We have a lot of people that work in the brokerage, compliance and all the paperwork people, and someone to answer the phones. So we pay about 20% to the brokerage, and then I keep $20,000. So I pay $5,000 to the brokerage. I paid $5,000 in staging, $5,000 in marketing. Then we had to do a couple open houses, $1,000 each, signage. And then I had to pay my own staff. We have video editors. We have the website creators. And then we had to run ads, right, all around those things, and my employees. At the end of the day, I burned through my 25 grand and I made nothing. I made zero. But here's the thing. It doesn't really matter to me at the end of the day, because guess what? I did a great job for them and they love me. And they said, like, they got so many people that they've referred to me afterward. I don't care. You know what I mean? So the thing about real estate is you have to make everyone happy, and then the money will follow. If you're going after money, it'll never work. Do you know what I mean? Kevin, you know what I mean, right? These agents that just say, yeah, pay 100,000 over. You're going to ruin that relationship forever. The last house that we saw, I was like, do not buy this house. Garbage. Don't buy it. But I've seen agents before, like, buy this house. Every house, they're saying the same thing. Avman, though, it's very, very popular for staging to be done with Photoshop. It's like, I think, $20 or $40 per picture to Photoshop a picture, but it depends on the size of your home, because you can have a large home and it might be $15,000, $20,000 to stage it. And there's no way that you're ever going to recover that. Do you know what I mean? An agent might be underwater 20 grand by doing that, right? So it has to, everything has to make sense. It's like one large business case kind of thing. Otis, you're saying staging is negotiable. Parents told agent to take staging costs out of commissions. Yeah, sometimes. Most of the time. And you see, Otis, you're saying home is worth 1.5 million. So staging goes by square footage, and there's a daily rate for staging. So it might be $5,000 and it includes 10 days. So that is to get a truck, get the furniture, drive it over, set it all up, and the driver and the truck to come pick it up and empty the house and bring it back to the storage unit in 10 days. And then every single day it goes past 10 days, it's $150, $200 per. And if you see a lot of the homes for sale today, if you go through the days on market, you're going to see homes on market for 70 days, 80 days, 110 days. Imagine if you're paying $200 a day for staging for 100 days. Oh my God, you're going to pay another 20 grand in staging. So yeah, I've seen the staging end up being more virtual. Very, very common. But you see, if a condo, in areas around where I live, 1.5 million is a 2-bedroom condo. It doesn't take cost a lot to stage that. But if you have a home that is way outside in a small market, 1.5 million might be an 8-bedroom home with 7 bathrooms, then the staging would be bananas. Invest with TJ. You said, David, in your early days, why did you choose a realtor route and not become a mortgage agent? Hey, you guys, I've been very open with this in the past. I've talked to you. I think that being a realtor was a mistake. I think I should have been a mortgage agent. That's what I've said through my career. I actually got into it because I saw some people who were party animals, and they were partying and drinking and every night. But listen, everyone does what they want. I'm not judging, but I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I work 80 hours a week and I work hard. But I was seeing some people who were not being very, they weren't like me, partying all the time, drinking, partying. And these guys were working only a couple hours and they were still making $10,000 a month. And I looked at them and I said, if these guys can do it, there's no way that I can. And I'm super studious. I read all the time and I am very, I apply myself, I said, it's impossible that I make less money than them. It's impossible. That's why I end up doing it. Of course, after I got in real estate, I wish that I didn't, over time, I wish I was a mortgage agent. But as time goes on, mortgage agents might become more of a thing of the past. Realtors will probably be around a bit longer, but things like smart contracts in Ethereum is going to start taking away some of those jobs over time. Kevin over on YouTube, thanks very much. You did a complete reno of the property you bought in Hamilton. You're hoping to find an agent that knows the after renovation value. Yeah, that's tough. I paid $599,000 for this place and spent $60,000 on renovations. Open concept. My mortgage is $300,000. First of all, congrats. You got a lot of equity in your home. Nice. If you can find me another fixer upper for 400 and sell my fixed one for 550, you're good. Oh man. Well, we would have to have a little chat. Thank you for telling me all of that. That's a lot of information. If you want, you can reach out to me, contact at Rough Team Realty. So my last name is RUFF, February. Contact at Rough Team Realty, just like the name of my channel. If you want to send me a message, we can get a little bit into more nitty gritty about knowing what area that you're in, Fixer uppers, they've become less and less rare. They're more like unicorns now because nowadays there's 800 flipping companies in Toronto. 800. And the 800 companies are just going through, chewing up everything to fix up. So it becomes more and more challenging to find them. But yeah, you can send us a message, Kevin, anytime. Thank you. Over on TikTok, you guys, thank you very much for all your comments, you guys. And thank you for all the hearts. It helps out the algorithm. Please follow me on Rough Team Realty on my YouTube channel. It would really help me out. Avman, my brother, did photos for home sales. He had lots of tricks. Yeah, nowadays we have to have homes with 3D mapping and that dollhouse, where you can click through. The whole point these days is kind of funny. In the old days, you wanted to put an open house sticker on your home and have the entire neighborhood come to your home. Nowadays, hardly anybody wants a sign on their front lawn. People are more private now. And over time, we've done a lot of surveys over a lot of years. The number of people who buy something from an open house is less than 0.1%. It's usually all your neighbors that are coming in just wanting to see what it looks like. Never really an interesting buyer. So those days are kind of gone. It's not the days of getting everybody in. Now it's kind of the reverse. You want a lot of the people to actually look at all the video and then book an appointment only if they like the video. It's kind of crazy. I know you guys might not have heard of this, but it's a very big population of people that they do this for fun, where they go out and look at homes on the weekend because that's their fun for them because it's free. And, I've gotten mad at people in the past because I remember this one lady. It was the middle of winter, minus 20 outside. She has her little kid in a stroller with blankets wrapped around them. And she has blankets on another baby holding them, freezing cold, minus 20 outside, while this young lady, 27 years old, is walking around the house, looking around, asking questions. And she was asking weird stuff. And I was like, hang on a second. Do you have any intention of buying this home? She goes, no, I do this for fun. I'm like, it's a Saturday night. This poor mother is freezing outside, these kids screaming. She just does it for fun. So if you see this stuff happening more and more and more, right? Now it's the opposite. We got to kind of keep people away that do not qualify for buying the home. That's why we want to know, did you talk to a mortgage agent yet? Are you actually in the market for buying, or is this just for fun? You're just kicking tires. Kind of crazy, right? That happens. I think it's kind of crazy. I don't know about you. I don't want to go spend my Sunday going and bothering people and going through their homes. Nowadays, the best is you need that 3D mapping, where you can click through the house and really take a look around. Not just pictures. Pictures don't tell it. And even video isn't as good. You really need that ability to walk around. The higher the value of the home and the smaller your home. So not really in the middle range. You don't need it as much in the middle range, but the very, very small and the very big, you do need it. Absolutely. Kevin, yeah, window shoppers. Can you believe that? Like, I don't know. Do I have the right to be angry about that? I'm angry, number one, that you wasted my time and you wasted my assistant's time and you wasted my office's time. But besides that, I'm mad at that poor mother, like trying to soothe these two little babies in minus 20 outside while she's just going through her closet for fun. I was so mad at that. Anyway, I felt really bad for her. And then, the lady, when I walked outside, I locked her door. She's like, so was she interested? And what am I supposed to say? I said, I'm so sorry she wasted your time. She just wanted to look at houses. She said it's a free activity. So now the lady's mad, but what am I going to, I'm not going to lie, lie to a client for what? To protect this young lady? No. Anyway, sorry, man, I get passionate. I'm very upset by people that take advantage of people. Otis, you said parents' house was fully detached with parking in the beaches, sold to foreign investors. Yeah. One day on market. Yeah. Beaches, super popular area. Super popular. How are smart contracts going to take over mortgage agent jobs? Well, so guys, that's kind of, I always talk about Ethereum, you guys. Ethereum is based on smart contracts. Smart contracts. So remember, you got money in the bank over here, money in the bank over here. Okay. Two banks, a buyer and a seller bank. And then both of them have two sets of lawyers. So the money kind of got to go from one bank to this lawyer, to the other lawyer, to the other bank. Bang, 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 bang. All we're doing is a buy and a sell. When you go to the store and you buy a chocolate bar, you hand money, you get a chocolate bar. One person. Just make sure the transaction finishes. Because it's a big sum of money. Now we're just hoping all these people in the middle, all of the lawyers are going to be changing the names on the registry on both sides, right? They have to do it. And all of those steps are just to make sure that the money is actually moving in the right way. We're also involving compliance officers and the two brokerage trust accounts. Oh my goodness, so many middle people. But guess what? Smart contracts allows all of that to go away. where the Ethereum or the smart contract, whatever they build on top of it, you give the deed to this thing. You give the money to the program. You give everything to the program, but the program is programmed not to disseminate everything unless all the tasks are complete. So it can make the world incredibly efficient, incredibly efficient. The thing that you can never automate, though, is experience. Like you guys have seen, right? We're telling stories. Some agents are bad, some are great. So long-term real estate jobs will be more relevant, still be more relevant than mortgage agents due to smart contracts. Yes. Yep. Overall. Hey, Millie, how are you? Millie's a legend, 16 years old, still killing it. Trying to learn a lot. We've been on here for a while. You guys, my battery is at like 5%. Plus, I gotta go. My poor wife is waiting for me. Um, Yeah, so that's what I was saying about smart contracts. We will not need to have mortgage agents, and you bidding for mortgages, they'll go a lot faster. Just like the stock market, where a bid and an ask price, we'll be able to get mortgage rates really, really quickly. And then smart contracts could take away the need for anyone to do any of the processing of the paperwork. Kevin on YouTube, you asked a lot of really good questions tonight. Thank you very much for coming on. Jeremy, you on YouTube, you're always awesome. Thanks very much for coming by too. Kevin, again, if you want to reach me, contact at roughteamrealty.com. Happy to talk to you. We can arrange a Zoom call. You guys, did we help you out at all? Avman, you said thanks again. Great as usual. Like it. As long as we're moving forward, we're crushing it all the time, right? A big journey, they always say, starts with one small step. Listen, it's taken me 20 years to get to where I am. And listen, not everyone's like me. I understand that. But I have been trying to just try to help you guys out on that time. If I even motivated you 1%, I've done my job. Just to keep on moving forward, move that forward step by step. Invest with TJ. Good questions today. Avman, thanks for coming on. Otis, thanks for coming on. Some of you guys I've seen on here quite a few times. Brando, you're awesome. If you guys like this stuff, please, I thank you guys for all the likes, all the gifts. Please follow me on my YouTube channel, exact same name, Rough Team Realty. And Kevin, if you need anything, yep, you're good. Thanks. Thank you guys for trying to spread this word with me. If you know anybody that this could help, just send it to one person. I think it can make a massive change in people's lives. Remember, keep on watching what's going to happen with this big collapse. We're going to find good deals on the other side. The only things that you should be buying right now, in my opinion, is gold and silver. I think silver is incredible right now at incredibly low prices. You know, you could just start off with something little. This is $30. Okay, a round. Don't buy a coin. Our friend Millie here has 15 of them already. He's 16 years old. He's got 15 of them. We all got to start somewhere, man. You're doing awesome, Millie. Keep crushing it. Keep going and looking at this stuff. And I'll try and come on tomorrow if I have any time. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night. Thanks for coming by.